All right, Brian. Well, let's just start in general. How does San Francisco match up against Philadelphia?
I mean, this is an unbelievable matchup. This is really the two best teams. I think by the time the regular season was over, everyone realized these are the two best teams. And it's kind of felt like a collision course between the 49ers and the Eagles here in the playoffs. And now we get to see it. They're the two most complete teams in the NFC from top to bottom, the best rosters. And really, they're built somewhat similar. They both have really good offensive lines. They're both built from the inside out, on the defensive side of the ball with their defensive lines. You would give the edge to the 49ers at linebacker. You would probably give the edge to the Eagles at cornerback. And the big question for me, and I think, national media would try to tell you that there's a massive advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles at quarterback. But when you look at the statistics, it doesn't really come out that way. So I think that might be what matters in the end. Can Brock Purdy do it? He's getting the nickname Brocky Balboa this week. So we'll see how that turns out.
Can't imagine Philadelphians love that. But I guess in general, I know the Eagles came into the playoffs pretty beat up. It seems that this week the Niners were. What have you heard on the status of just important players?
Yeah, and I think it's telling what the 49ers game plan is going to be. If the Philadelphia Eagles can be beat in a certain way, it's with the run game. And Kyle Shanahan loves to run the football. That's been what the 49ers have done in all of their playoff runs, is play bully ball. In the end, that's what got them past the Cowboys last week in the second half, was really just going straight at them. Not, stop trying to be tricky with the misdirection stuff. Go right at them with the run game. And all of the best runners for the 49ers have been limited this week in practice. Even wide back, as they call him, Deebo Samuel, who's a wide receiver, can really carry the ball and do a lot after the catch. Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell, running backs as well, limited in practice. I don't think they're hurt in a way that it's going to affect them during the game. I think this is more they're going to be utilized, and this is really important. So, them having the least amount of wear on their tires coming into this game is important, because I think that's going to be a big part of the 49ers game plan is running the football, especially if they're able to get a lead to play that brand of bully ball and run away with the lead and lean on the running game.
So rewind probably about 8 weeks now, maybe 9, to when Purdy stepped into that game against Miami. Where have you seen the most growth in his game?
Oh, I think he's grown in a way that he's understanding his limitations, knows where to go with the ball, and just trusting what he sees. But to be honest with you, the big wow moment was really early on, because he kind of displayed a lot of that right out of the gate in week 14. He walked onto the field for Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think the big thought was, well, let's hope Jimmy's not hurt that bad, because this might be the end of the 49ers run and their hopes of going to maybe a Super Bowl this year, because third string, 7th round rookie, probably not going to be the recipe that gets the 49ers there. And then he looked really good finishing out that game against the Miami Dolphins. And then the next week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it was one of those like, pinch me, what am I watching moment? Is this really happening right now? That was the first half against the Buccaneers with Tom Brady on the other side, was the best quarterback play I've seen in the 6 years that Kyle Shanahan's been the head coach of the 49ers. And really that's just continued. This is the best run of quarterback play we've seen under Kyle Shanahan. And if Brock Purdy keeps playing the way he has, it actually gave the 49ers a better chance to win the Super Bowl versus some of the other quarterback play that we've seen. It's really been phenomenal and in some ways unbelievable what Brock Purdy has done as a 7th round rookie, just trusting what he sees and seeing things, getting the ball out in time, which is something that usually most rookies struggle with. And he's somewhat battle tested now. And you look at the numbers between Brock Purdy and not just Jalen Hurts, but all the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Brock Purdy's right there. He's top 1, 2, 3 in, he's undefeated, obviously, in his 7 games as a starter. He's got the best passer rating in the league, not just for a rookie, so he's doing things that are high-end NFL quarterback play, not just high-end rookie quarterback play, which is phenomenal. And you talk about being battle tested. He's already gone and won 2 playoff games, which is one more than Jalen Hurts has in his career. So Jalen Hurts has to win this game just to tie Brock Purdy in NFL career playoff wins. It's pretty phenomenal what Brock Purdy and the 49ers have done.
You talk about that pinch me moment against Tampa Bay. What was the moment? Could have been last week. It could have been against Seattle. What was that moment where adversity hit and then he responded, and you realize maybe this isn't just a flash in the pan type moment.
Yeah, and so even after that Buccaneers game, it was okay, but he is a 7th-round rookie, and he's 6 foot tall, and he's a little stubbier looking than a lot of NFL quarterbacks look. This is not going to continue, right? This can't, he'll come back down to earth. He'll turn into a pumpkin, and every week it's like, no, it's not happening this week. Okay, it didn't happen this week, and I've stopped waiting for that. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we know who Brock Purdy is now, and he absolutely belongs. I think the best comeback for him was probably against the Raiders in week 17, because the Raiders were able to put some points up on the 49ers defense, which a lot of teams in the second half of the year just weren't able to do. And he had to prove that he could bring the team back and go win a football game. And he did. So he faced adversity there. He faced adversity the first time he played the Seahawks because he was coming off a little bit of an injury, and it was a short week. It was a big road game. Seattle's been a tough place to play. That was the week. It was like, okay, if he's going to show up and look like a rookie, it's going to be this week. You're trying to win the division title for your team. Short week. You don't really get to practice because you're injured, and you're going into Seattle. And he looked awesome in that game too. So he's passed every single test every step of the way. And I know this is another new test. He's on the road for the first time in the playoffs at Philadelphia. It's the best team they've played, but this is the best team the Philadelphia Eagles have played too in the 49ers. And if Brock Purdy doesn't turn the ball over and just facilitates his playmakers, I think the 49ers are going to look really good in this game. And I think they'll probably be playing in a couple of weeks if that's the case.
How have you seen teams adjust to not only just Brock, but this new look 49ers offense over the last 8 weeks?
I think the biggest thing that's happened with Brock Purdy is obviously Kyle trusts him, and he trusts what he sees, which is really important. And he's such a good fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense because he's accurate, gets the ball out in timing with some anticipation, which again is just so rare for a rookie, and finding the playmakers that do the rest. And, the 49ers are so good after the catch, and then adding someone like Christian McCaffrey at the trade deadline for the 49ers when you already have Deebo Samuel and George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk on offense. I think what it has done to defenses is they have to play the 49ers straight up. They can't, if you overset against the run and you're bringing 8 guys into the box all day long, the 49ers are killing you with over routes and dig routes, breaking behind those linebackers. And we've seen that in both these playoff games, just time and time again. Brock Purdy's hitting those guys and knows where to go with the ball and is getting big plays behind the linebackers. But obviously, if you're not really, and I say, because it's not just playing the run, it's like the run is the most important thing to defend. Like if you don't treat the 49ers run game like that, then they'll be able to run on you. And that's the recipe they've used to get to the playoffs all these times. So if you don't respect the run, the 49ers are going to run the ball on you. And if you respect it too much, Brock Purdy has shown he can hit those playmakers behind the linebackers and make big plays there. So it's just so tough to play the 49ers because you have to play them straight up. And if you play them straight up, they're better than you somewhere.
So obviously the Mr. Irrelevant story is incredible. It's been probably the biggest national story in the NFL this year. But a story we've got on our local level is Brock Purdy and George Kittle have somehow made Iowa and Iowa State fans get along for the first time ever. What have you seen that chemistry on and off the field be for that 49ers offense?
Yeah, and not just George Kittle, but I think everybody on the team has really respected what they've seen from Brock Purdy from the moment he came in. And look, Brock Purdy came in about as much of a veteran rookie as you can be, even though he was a 7th-round pick. That was more, physical stuff than how battle-tested he was in college. Because, and by the way, Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy had an epic one.
Yes.
Oklahoma against Ohio State, right? 42-41, I think was the final. Hopefully this one goes the other way. And I actually predicted the 49ers to win this one by 1 against the Eagles. But he's played so much football in his life, and he played a ton of college football, and he was a decorated high school recruit. He was Mr. Football or whatever they call it in the state of Arizona, before he got to Iowa State. So he's been this guy, and he came in with that mindset that he belonged. And I think everybody recognized that early on, and especially now that he's played a lot, because as Deebo Samuel put it earlier on in the week, they didn't get a lot of reps with him in training camp because he was the number 3 quarterback. But once people saw how he worked, how much they could trust him. He's just become one of the guys so quickly. And George Kittle is always really good with his quarterbacks, and he had a pretty solid bromance for a few years with Jimmy Garoppolo as well. So I think it's pretty easy to get along with George Kittle, especially if you're feeding him the ball. And I think on the field that connection has been really strong. And Brock Purdy has done a really good job of finding George Kittle, which has been an X factor, and he's scoring a touchdown in just about every single game that Brock Purdy has started.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's one of those things where I I watched Purdy for 4 years, and I always thought the way Iowa State runs their offense, it was a lot of just tightly thrown contested balls that had to be quick. And I never thought Purdy would be this. I thought like, oh, I think he could be a solid backup. And then he's doing just the exact same thing, going to Kittle like he had Charlie Kohler back in the day.
And I think one of the things you see is the mentality. He's fearless out there. He acts like he belongs, just like he did for 4 years at Iowa State. And when you see him have even better playmakers around him, that's made him play better. When with a lot of times what you see is a college quarterback is a big man on campus, and it's been so easy, and their players are better than the other team's players in college, then they see the speed of NFL defenses and the windows shrink. That's not been the case with Brock Purdy, right? In a lot of ways, maybe the windows even got bigger in the NFL because of the guys he's throwing the ball to and how great Kyle Shanahan is at simplifying the reads for you and really scheming guys open at the NFL level. So I think that's been something that's very different, just a really unique rookie and his path to becoming what he's become so far for the 49ers.
Well, I'll just ask you one more question before your game prediction, but what do you feel Purdy's chances are to win NFL Rookie of the Year?
That's tough because if Brock Purdy played all 17 games, it would be the easiest vote ever. And you'd be talking about MVP if he did what he did over the last 7 games. If he did that for a full season, like I said, his numbers are right there with all the top quarterbacks in the NFL. We're talking about, can he win the MVP as a rookie, not a Rookie of the Year? It's just up to the voters if 6 games is enough. I was actually surprised that he was going to even be one of the finalists there, because I just thought that maybe he wouldn't get enough credit just because he hadn't played enough. I still don't think he'll get the award. I think it'll go to Garrett Wilson, wide receiver of the Jets, just because he had a really nice year. But nobody ran away with the award this year, and quarterbacks really rule when it comes to those sort of awards. And so if you do count the games he played as enough, then I think he'll win. And I don't know if enough voters will think his body of work was big enough to count for the award.
Yeah. It was kind of shocking to me too when he was final. I guess not shocking, but it's a smaller sample size. It's definitely a big enough sample size to tell he's legit, but
right,
definitely wasn't a season long.
And I think actually one of the things that helps, or one of the things that hurts Brock Purdy for winning the award, is that Chris Olave didn't become one of the finalists, because then the wide receiver vote, because those guys were so tight, because I thought it was going to be between Olave and Garrett Wilson.
Oh,
both
right.
Receivers out of Ohio State, they're not going to split that wide receiver vote that might have let him sneak in there, because now I think it's going to be, you don't have that Chris Olave vote that could take away from Garrett Wilson votes. So that probably hurts Purdy's chances of actually winning the award.
Right. That makes sense. The pick the most popular and
right.
Yeah. Well, what's your game prediction? I know you already hinted at it earlier.
I like the 49. I mean, this is going to be a close game. I don't think anything should shock anybody here. I think the team that gets the lead, both teams want to run the football, and you definitely want to try to make Jalen Hurts one-dimensional, and the 49ers have been so good at doing that. And if they can make them one-dimensional where they can't run the ball and you have to rely on Jalen Hurts to win the game, throw in from the pocket, I think that's what the 49ers want to do. And then on the other side, they want to be able to run the football. Jalen Hurts hasn't played a defense like this, so I'm really fascinated to see what this game looks like. It could go any way. I like the 49ers by 1 in a really tight game. I've got it 23 49ers, and then man, Brock Purdy's going to be the story of, because you know what happens in the Super Bowl, right? Because it goes well beyond sports. It goes beyond, folks in Iowa and California knowing who Brock Purdy is. There's going to be people who don't care at all about football. They're going to know Brock Purdy's name, and that story is going to go crazy if the 49ers advance to the Super Bowl, which is my prediction, 24-23 Niners.